What if I told you, the woman who truly broke Johnny Depp's heart isn't who you think it is? It's not Amber Heard. It's not Vanessa Paradis either. It's someone completely different, someone from way back, long before the cameras, before the headlines, and before the chaos that took over his life. Someone who shaped him, hurt him, and in some ways, made him the man he is today. Crazy, right? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm really glad you're here because today, we're diving into a story that's not about fame or gossip, but about pain, healing, and how one person's childhood can echo through every part of their adult life. You're about to see Johnny Depp in a completely new light. So stick with me till the end, because the truth about who broke him might just surprise you. Alright, let's rewind the clock. Before the movies, before Jack Sparrow, before the red carpets, Johnny was just a kid from Owensboro, Kentucky. He wasn't born into fame or fortune. He was just a regular boy with a big imagination and a love for music. But behind closed doors, his world was far from peaceful. He's talked about it in interviews, how his childhood was filled with chaos and fear. And when he said, "My childhood was dark. My mom was maybe the cruelest person I ever met," you could feel the weight of that sentence. So yeah, the woman who broke Johnny Depp wasn't a lover or a Hollywood partner. It was his own mother, Betty Sue Palmer. Growing up, Johnny's home wasn't the kind of place where you could relax or feel safe. He once said it felt like a place where you had to adapt or die. That's how tough it was. His mother was reportedly harsh, with a sharp tongue and a temper that could cut deep. Imagine being a small kid, sensitive, creative, full of imagination, but living in an environment where you constantly had to watch what you said, where love felt conditional, and peace was rare. That kind of childhood doesn't just disappear when you grow up. It stays inside you. It shapes how you see the world, how you love, and how you trust. So what did Johnny do to escape it? He turned to music. He picked up a guitar, started playing in bands, and used music as a way out, a safe space where he could lose himself. You can almost picture him sitting in his room, strumming chords, dreaming about a life that didn't hurt so much. Music became his escape, his therapy, his voice when he couldn't find words. But the pain of childhood doesn't just vanish. It shows up in different ways, especially in love. And that's exactly what happened to Johnny. When you look at his relationships, Winona Ryder, Vanessa Paradis, Amber Heard, you start to notice a pattern. Each of them was different, but the emotional thread connecting them all was the same. Johnny often fell for people who needed fixing, who had their own wounds, their own chaos. And that's not a coincidence. See, when you grow up in a place where love feels painful, you start to believe that love has to hurt. You confuse passion with peace. You chase broken people because deep down, you're trying to heal the part of yourself that never got healed. Johnny once said in an interview that he had a tendency to take care of others before himself. That might sound noble, but sometimes, it's a quiet cry for healing. He was looking for the love he didn't get from his mother. And when you're doing that without even realizing it, you can get stuck in a cycle, one heartbreak after another, each one reopening an old wound. Now let's jump forward to 2016, a year that changed everything. Johnny's mother, Betty Sue Palmer, passed away that year. For most people, losing a parent is devastating, no matter what. But for Johnny, it was complicated. It wasn't pure grief. It was mixed with years of pain, confusion, anger, and, strangely enough, peace. He said that after her death, he felt a kind of calm he hadn't known before. Not happiness, not relief exactly, but something like closure. It was as if he finally accepted that his past happened, that it hurt him, but it didn't have to define him anymore. That's when something shifted in Johnny. He started focusing more on his art, his music, and his inner world rather than the noise around him. You could see it in his interviews and even in how he carried himself. He wasn't just an actor anymore. He was a man trying to rebuild himself from the ground up. And that, honestly, might be the most human thing about him. Because let's face it, we all have that one person who shaped us, for better or worse. Maybe it's a parent, a teacher, an ex, or someone who made us feel like we weren't enough. And sometimes, it takes years, even decades, to realize that healing isn't about forgetting what they did. It's about forgiving so you can finally move forward. For Johnny, that forgiveness started with his mother, the woman who broke him. But here's something interesting. Psychologists say that childhood trauma doesn't just go away when you become successful or rich. You can have all the fame in the world and still feel like that scared kid from your past. Dr. Caroline Leaf, a well-known cognitive neuroscientist, once said, "You can't change what you don't confront." And that's exactly what Johnny did. He confronted the pain. He faced the darkness that he'd been carrying for so long. And in doing so, he started to understand himself better. He realized that the people he'd chosen to love, the chaos he'd sometimes found himself in, it all came from that same root. That little boy who grew up thinking love had to hurt finally started to learn that it didn't. Now, imagine the courage that takes. Because it's easier to run from your past, to distract yourself with fame, parties, or success. But to sit with your pain, to look at it straight in the eye, and to say, "This happened, and I'm still here," that's strength. That's growth. And that's what makes Johnny Depp's story so powerful. It's not about the court battles or the gossip. It's about healing. It's about a man who spent years being misunderstood by the world, and finally decided to understand himself. You can see that healing reflected in the things he creates now, his art, his music, his collaborations. He's not chasing approval anymore. He's expressing himself, freely, honestly, and without fear. That's the kind of peace most people spend their whole lives trying to find. And it makes you think, doesn't it? How many of us are still carrying the weight of something someone said or did years ago? How many of us are repeating patterns we don't even notice, because we never stop to ask where they came from? Johnny's story is a reminder that sometimes, the first step toward healing is simply acknowledging that we're hurt. It's not weakness. It's courage. And even though he went through some of the most public heartbreaks and controversies in Hollywood, there's still something deeply relatable about him. We see the fame, the success, the characters, but underneath all that, he's just human. He's someone who grew up too fast, loved too hard, and learned too late that peace doesn't come from people, it comes from within. When you think about it, maybe Betty Sue Palmer didn't just break him. Maybe, in a strange way, she also pushed him to become the man capable of rebuilding himself. That doesn't excuse the pain she caused, but it shows that even the hardest experiences can lead to growth. And that's something we can all take away from his story. Because healing doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means saying, "Yes, it happened, and I survived." Now, here's a thought. Do you think childhood pain ever truly heals? Or do we just learn to live with it? It's a deep question, but one worth asking. For some, healing looks like therapy or talking about it. For others, it's creating art, writing, or just learning to forgive. Whatever form it takes, it's always a process, never a straight line. Johnny's life shows that healing can happen even after years of struggle. It might take time, but it's never too late. And maybe that's what makes his story so powerful, because it's not perfect. It's real. He's not the flawless Hollywood hero. He's the man who made mistakes, fell apart, and somehow found the strength to put himself back together again. And honestly, that's far more inspiring than perfection. So, the next time you see Johnny Depp on screen, whether he's playing Captain Jack Sparrow, or just being himself, you'll know there's more behind that calm, thoughtful look. You'll see the story of a man who carried his childhood pain for years, and who finally learned how to let it go. And that's why when he talks about peace now, or art, or love, it feels different. It feels grounded. Real. Because it comes from a place of understanding, not pretending. It's the peace that comes after the storm. So yeah, the woman who broke Johnny Depp wasn't a partner, a co-star, or a tabloid villain. It was his own mother, the woman who gave him life and pain in equal measure. But through her, he learned something no movie could ever teach him, that healing is messy, painful, and slow, but it's worth it. And if Johnny can find peace after everything he's been through, maybe there's hope for the rest of us too. So what about you? Do you think we ever truly heal from our childhoods, or do we just grow around the pain? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you liked this story and want to keep exploring powerful, real-life journeys like this one, make sure you check out our next video. It's about how Keanu Reeves turned his own tragedies into peace and purpose. Trust me, it's a story that'll stay with you. And hey, if this video connected with you even a little, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because we're just getting started. Thanks so much for watching, for listening, and for spending this time with me today. Remember, healing takes time. It's not easy, but it's possible. You don't have to be perfect to move forward. You just have to keep going. And that's the real lesson behind Johnny Depp's story. The world may know him as a superstar, but deep down, he's proof that even when life breaks you, you can always rebuild. Take care of yourself, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one.